Tony, we'll start with you. You jumped on first in regards to Ryan Day meeting with the media and what stood out to you. Then we'll go Steve and Kevin.
I think what stood out to me is nobody asked about Jeremiah Smith, and that's just a shame. There are so many questions and so little time that follow-ups weren't recommended, but there was a ton of talk about Julian Sayin. And while there's this quarterback competition going on, mainly between Devin Brown and Will Howard and also Lincoln Keenholz, the topic of conversation has been Julian Sayin gets his black stripe off faster than any other quarterback at Ohio State since the thing started back in 2012. And just he's been producing, playing well in practice. And so I don't expect him to be in the mix as a legitimate starter, even though Ryan Day did say he's been in the mix in the competition. That's what he's going to say. Just a lot of attention there because he's playing well, but I think the focus is still going to be on Will Howard and Devin Brown. The other concern, just a right guard, they're still moving people in and out there and have finally started to get a look at Carson Hinsman and Seth McLaughlin there at that spot. And, one of them's at center, one of them's at guard. So I think that will eventually shake out. He did say that they're going to look at all options, which could also include the transfer portal after the spring for that spot.
Steve.
Yeah, I thought that Coach Day was asked about the new running backs coach, Carlos Lachlan, and said that they interviewed 10 or 12 people by Zoom, narrowed it down to 4 people, and that it was very clear that Carlos Lachlan, who only has like 3 years of on-field coaching experience, was clearly the guy. And Lachlan was very impressive when we got a chance to talk to him yesterday. So that was one. I think that this was in our internal text chain of us, we try to crack each other up. Somebody made the comment that Coach Day was very much saying how they're going to need multiple quarterbacks because they are going to run the quarterbacks this year. And then in parenthesis, the part that's not said is they're going to get the quarterbacks injured this year by running the quarterbacks. So necessitating the need for 2 or 3 quarterbacks. So I think in their perfect world, they would keep this triumvirate of Howard, Brown, and Sayin all in the fold through the end of the upcoming season. Because as Coach Day said, the last time we won one here at Ohio State, and he and Chip Kelly were probably somewhere in the NFL at that point, we had to have 3 guys doing it. And, that was obviously the case, when they had to go 3 quarterbacks deep in that 2014 season. So he wants and I don't think that's an indictment of any of them that they haven't won the job or anything. I think they're all playing at a high level, and I think that they feel like they could win with any of them is kind of the gist that I get. Says that Howard's experience has given him a little bit of a leg up, perhaps, but Brown and Sayin are right there is what it reads to me. And I think it'll be very interesting. Those first 3 games, it's Akron, Marshall, and some other schlub. It's going to be is it Middle Tennessee? Is that who they're playing? Does that sound right? I don't even remember.
I don't think it's Middle, but I don't.
Is it Western?
Yeah, it's a directional MAC school or something.
Yeah, something.
And Akron and Marshall.
Yeah.
Marshall, Will, and Holly, the land of the lost.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting in those 3 games to see who plays, how much, and how well they do. I think that those will be barometers in kind of the decision-making as then they weed into Big Ten play after that. And he very much said that Sayin is a guy who's working toward being somebody who they go on the road to Oregon and rely on him, go on the road to Penn State, and he helps them win a game, and the team up north game in Columbus, and then playing for the Big Ten championship, playing for the national championship. That's what they're hoping, is he's got a bright future, and that those are the kind of things he needs to show that he can be the guy that could lead him in those tough games. So, point A to point B, they're just going down the first baseline with some of these guys, and we'll see how it turns out.
I don't know how Mark expects me to remember anything that happened 23 hours ago. I think Steve and Tony have hit a lot of the high points of what Ryan had to say, or at least what was taken away in his 27 minutes or so
Yeah.
of talking to us. The final conversation that we will have prior to the spring game, an event that we don't necessarily have all of the details hammered out, but we do. It's going to be a case of the ones will go out there and will play more of a thud style of football. They will put them all in bubble wrap or knocker balls or something to keep them from getting hurt, and then let everybody else tackle. And then the fourth quarter will be a running clock, and punch and pie will be had by all after the event is over. I was waiting to see if we were going to get any indications of some of these rumored transfer moves, some that have merit and some that don't. The ones having merit, Dallin Hayden, he wasn't necessarily going to get into that whole situation. The ones that don't hold merit, Lincoln Kienholz to Iowa. I just think that it's a case of they're starting to really see what the picture is going to look like post-spring, and you only are going to get a small part of the picture. You're not going to know a lot of things there, but I'll be curious to see as soon as the portal opens what happens with offensive line. I've been telling people that I think that the move is not necessarily going to be going out and getting a frontline starter at a tackle or a guard spot. I think what Ohio State needs to do more of is get somebody who has a couple of years. Go out and get a Josh Simmons who doesn't have to be thrust right out there in year one, and get somebody who gives you a little bit more depth, because this may be an unpopular opinion, but it's mine. I feel I'm pretty unpopular, but I feel fine from 1 to 5. 6, 7, and 8, I have more concern about. And I think that if you can get somebody in there to help affect 6, 7, or 8, that is going to carry a lot more weight for the immediacy. And to Steve's point, if Ohio State is planning on injuring a bunch of quarterbacks, they'll probably lose a couple of linemen along the way too. So 6, 7, and 8 are going to be very important.